Okay. Don't need that here. Okay. I want to quickly go back over the feedback that you gave us from the last meeting, or actually your last test session. There was a request for a change to the template in the bulk mailer when lots were updated. That has been done. There was a bit of confusion on how we delete lots versus just delete bids. I'm going to go over that first of all when we get past here. In deleting bids or a lot, the bulk mail template comes up only if there are bids. That's yes. Otherwise, we have no one to email to. And there was a request for hiding auctions. We do not have that today, but that's on the burner. There was a question about ending status. That begins 12 hours before the auction is scheduled to begin ending. And there's not the only limitation I've put on that in terms of what you can do to modify is it does not allow you to add a lot when the auction is ended.
Okay. And
is that logic correct?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We wouldn't want to add something at the end. Nobody's going to bid on it anyway.
Right. So if need be, you can change the tax codes. You can add pictures. You can delete bids. Everything's available during ending status except adding a lot.
Here's one question. I'm sorry. Can I ask a question?
There was one other thing. I think we block out also. I think changing the order.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now, excuse me. Go ahead.
Well, my one question is, well, everything that you're saying we can do, which is great, by re-uploading a CVS during the ending. But what if it has ended? For example, and things proceed. I don't know how to close an auction yet. That's going to come later. I'm sure you're going to show us how to do that. But right now, when an auction first ends, one of the things I do is look at the tax codes that are programmed in there to make sure they're correct. And that's where our problem is now. If they're loaded incorrectly for some reason, we have to go in manually and change one lot after the other to change the tax code. What if we discover that in Gen 2 after the auction has truly ended? Can we still upload a new CVS to correct something like that, like a tax code that would be a universal change for all lots?
More than likely not, but we will have. There is a separate screen for those closing activities, and we will make sure that there is a way for you to do that.
Okay, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and yeah.
But you don't change anything that public facing about that, do you? In other words, you wouldn't change the description or the pictures or.
Yeah, if we're changing like something like that, like a tax code, the public never knows that to begin with anyway. It's just on our end that we have to make sure we tax it correctly.
Okay, I don't think we at the present allow the CSV to go up after the auction's ended, but I hear what you're saying, and we'll look at that.
Right. I mean, I'm just using what we do now, but yeah, you may have a wonderful way of doing it behind the scenes that that'll make it work for us.
Yeah, I know we're changing things from how we originally presented them. I'll
Okay.
just leave it at that. But how we originally presented them, we had a page for doing changes, and there was a apply to all tax code change on there. And
Okay, cool.
we will have that again. Don't know exactly
Okay.
where, but we will have
Yeah.
apply to all tax code change if needed.
All right.
Our ending functions is where we're headed with after this release. So don't look for anything in there during your current testing, but that's where we want to try to get that finished up. So at that point, we should be able to close the loop on everything so that we can test from alpha to omega, as they say.
Okay.
The difference between ended and closed. Ended happens when all lots have passed their ending time.
Okay.
And that happens automatically. That's not something that you are expected to change. As a matter of fact, you can't change. It won't allow you to set an auction to ended. The system is continually monitoring the status of everything inside the auction, and if it's past the beginning ending time, in other words, if an auction is set to begin ending at 10 a.m., then we start monitoring the lots inside that auction and wait until they go past their original ending time, or if they're in extended bidding, we wait until the extended time lapse is completed, which is 5 minutes. And then once everything in the auction is, or every lot in the auction is past its ending time, then the status goes from ending to ended. Closed is used, we're going to be using closed for you to eliminate an auction from the, or to cancel an auction, if you will. We're going to have two ways that auctions will go off the scene. Number one will be pending. You will be able to set an auction, an open auction to pending status. And what that does is it just basically puts it on the back burner, takes off all the bids, and leaves it sitting there so that if you choose to do so, you can go in, change the ending date and set the status back to open to reopen the auction.
But that's if there are already bids, it deletes the bids.
It deletes the bid, yes.
Does it generate, I mean, if we're going to do that, we have to then, of course, generate an email to the bidders. So will that then bring us to the bulk mailer?
Okay, just bear with me. We're going to look at this stuff now. All right, so let's get this off here.
In answer to your question, yes, but we will show you.
Okay.
All right, so let's see, make sure I don't have anybody hanging out in the waiting room here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to, first of all, let's talk about, let's just follow through with what we were talking about. All right, I've got two separate screens here. One's logged in as Purdue and one's logged in as test admin. And let's get everybody back to 0 here. We'll refresh both screens. and put it on the homepage. All right. Okay, so let's say, for example, we want to okay, let's public transit. Let's say that somebody stole all the gas tanks off all those buses. So we're just going to have to kill this guy here. So we can go to admin. And if you know the auction number, you can type it in directly, or otherwise we can browse down through here and find.
You get it, and then I'm gonna go back in and work on it today. So if you get, I've got it multiple times, I apologize. But I wanna get it. Yeah, I wanna get it.
Okay. Okay, so here's our auction, 276 public transit. I'm in admin now. I'm gonna open that auction in admin. And we're just gonna eliminate this auction. All the lots have changed, so we can't just pend it and then reopen it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from an open status to a closed status. And when I do so, it's auction 276 has been taken offline and status set to close, and we are in the bulk mailer now.
Okay.
Now in the bulk mailer, we have all of these people bidding on. That's all the bidders from this auction.
Okay.
Now, I don't think we wanted to ask you also to give us, I think, a template for what you want us to tell them when we do this.
Well,
So,
a measure such as that is pretty drastic, really, in the auction world. So to give a template for that, it might be different reasons. Like you said, this one could be that every gas tank was stolen, or every catalytic converter was stolen, or something like that. But another one, like the one I had to pull a couple of weeks ago, they hadn't done their legal notices properly. I mean, it's so drastic to do that. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. Can we not type in the body of that to change what we need to tell them?
you want to chime in on that, Jeff?
Yeah, you can change it. Yes. It's a question of what do you want your starting. That's what I picked. That wording right there is what I picked as the starting details.
I mean, that makes sense if we can, between that long sentence and if you have any questions sentence, if we can go in the between there and explain why, because somebody's going to want to know why. We don't have to give them extreme details, but we want to be able to tell them something.
Okay, so we need to we want to show you the delete lot as well, and we can have the same thing happen. I need to add a pop-up screen, confirmation screen, and we can have a reason code that gets filled in there in between those two lines.
Okay. All right. So that auction has been eliminated. If you and it's no longer on our calendar. Now let's see. This auction here is ending. Let's go here to Hill Country. Okay, now let's look at this auction here is this Hill County Community Auction. We have several lots here that have bids on them. So what I want to do first of all is I want to delete the bids from one of these lots. Let's say lot number 2. Okay, this is auction 264. It had not put it on. Need to put a location in here. Okay, now if I pull up the inventory for 264, a lot 2. Now you notice on here, before we go into the edit, you have a delete link right here. Now to edit, which means I'm going to change the description or something, I'm going to notify them that it was modified, and or I'm going to delete bids. Okay, so we're on lot 2. Here's lot 2 showing over here on the screen. So I'm going to delete bids. Reason is deleting bids. We'll save that. And you'll notice over here, it's set back to 0 as the current bid, and the starting bid is the next bid. It has addressed an email to 2 people, and it showed this. This was one of the things I think you asked in the email about changing the wording in the template. So
Right.
the following lots have been updated. That's the reason for that lot. So that's deleting bids. Now let's suppose you want to pull lot 3. So we would avoid going into the modified, just click on delete and put your reason code in the confirmation and delete. Now, it went away. It disappeared from here. And we have 3 bidders, or had 3 bidders on that lot. And here is our reason code for the deletion. Any questions?
I don't think so. What if you click, I mean, I see this instant, it changed it instantly, like for example, lot 2, it deleted the bids. What if you've clicked on the wrong one? Can you revert?
No. Be careful.
You cannot get the bids back.
Okay.
If you want to re-upload the spreadsheet, or to figuring that would be the easiest way to get the inventory back, you can do that, but the bids are back. The bids are gone.
Okay.
The bids can't be reinstated. They're not. They are. There is a spreadsheet that has been recorded on the system that shows the bid history for that lot. Yeah, you won't see anything prominent that's going to show you what that is at the moment. That's still in process. But when that lot was deleted, it created a spreadsheet for that lot with the bids. But once the bids have been deleted, or the lot's been deleted, you can't reinstate the bids. I'll put it that way. You can retrieve them and look at them, but you can't put them back into the auction.
Okay.
So do we need to have a stronger confirmation process?
How so?
I mean, like another warning?
Yeah, like, are you really sure you want to delete these bids?
It doesn't hurt. It's kind of like, when we're like, it doesn't hurt at all. Kind of like, because when I'm archiving a profile, if I accidentally grab the wrong one, even though there's all kinds of active stuff going on, it would let me do it, So that's kind of, I don't mind having extra, something in there that says, hey, are you paying attention? Do you know what you're doing?
What's your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, it's just a question of how much do you want, and we just want to make sure that it's not overly obtrusive where you're
Right.
cursing at it every time you have to do it.
No.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about something that's happening day in and day out here, are we?
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
I don't know, Mary Beth, you do that all the time.
I know. I do it for record yards all the time. But
deleting.
Even if I'm correcting a bid, deleting bids for something, I always like to just look one more time. So just a confirmation button. Are you sure you want to do this kind of a thing? What it adds 2 seconds, it's not that big of a deal. I'd rather have that than go, oh crap, afterwards.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, I've had batteries run low in my wireless devices, and the mouse cursor would jump, and I clicked the wrong thing, and I'm just like, wow. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're focusing on the exact steps and something malfunctions in your device for whatever reason, it would
Hey,
be
David,
nice.
your audio is muffled. Are you on headset?
Yeah, I got a new speaker, and it's proven to be totally worth the cost.
Yeah, I think just the buffer of a confirmation screen before it just pops and it's gone would be an insurance policy for ourselves.
Correct.
Okay, we can add that. So we currently have one for individual delete. We can add that for the mass updates and for the for deleting bids on an individual line as well.
Okay.
Another question would be, is there specific things that you want? You have two different groups of just regular admins and super admins. What stuff do you want as we finalize things? What stuff do you want to be restricted to super admins?
I haven't thought about that. Same
Are
as
you
now,
addressing?
but
Are you specifically talking about the area we're working in now, Jeff? Or are you talking about system-wide?
Specifically, I'm thinking of during the auction editing functions like inventory, delete, auction resets to pending or closed. Those currently, that area is my sort of focus.
Most of those are not shouldn't be super user, right?
Well, that's up to you. I mean, how tightly do you want to control, for example, early closing an auction? Can anybody on the team do that?
That's somewhere where there will also be a warning. Correct.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Okay, there'll be, yes. Super
goes-
warning, but no, I think anybody
Yeah.
putting on auctions, or I don't know. I mean, I think Mary Beth and Brittany and Michelle. I think, guys, what do y'all think? I mean, is that? I don't,
Well,
I don't want
we
to
need to
stumble
be
onto
able
it, but
to-
I don't think they would anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things I don't do. I don't even know how to archive an auction. But I don't have to. It's not part of what we do. But yeah, some of the functions we need to be able to do so that we're not almost being micromanaged by having to get somebody else to do it.
Right.
Okay, well, we can.
And anybody put on
just-
the auction should be able to do all that. They wouldn't be
Okay.
putting them on if we didn't think they knew what they were doing.
All right. Well, we'll review again what the legacy systems restriction to super users and lay out a plan for Gen 2 and to go over with you on a future meeting. I noticed Michelle is not with us, and my
Yeah, I don't know.
next topic on the agenda is the bulk mailer.
Let me text
So-
her. I hadn't heard.
Yeah, I don't know where she is either.
Can somebody see if she's available? Because I think she would be probably who we want to address this to. It's
I texted her.
okay. She does most of that, right? Or all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
All
something we
right,
can skip till we figure out where she is.
There's not a
That was
whole lot
it.
of rocket science in this one. So
while we wait for her, do you have any more questions about changing, doing inventory updates? How about, did we go through the mass updates?
Yeah.
For
I think so.
inventory?
we did last time. I haven't done it today.
Okay.
I think she's fixing to get on.
Okay.
While we wait, just a background note. We were using external service last meeting for the site updates. We have switched that to an internal service that we have more control over things, and seems to be a little. In our testing, it seems to be a lot more responsive and faster. So that's just an update there of some other things that are other changes that you may not specifically notice, but have been made for improvements.
Michelle, if you're in, I see you in, but you're muted. So
Well,
I see
There.
Michelle in
Can
the,
you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay, sorry. It was just like sticking and freezing. Sorry, my head was upside down in a freaking auction. I apologize profusely.
No problem. I'm
Ugh.
so proud you're here. If you, can you see the display on the Renee Bates screen on my, page?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, there's a new item in the admin menu on the left, the mailer. And this is what is the form that we'll be using to create the weekly announcements. It uses a different approach for who and how you send it. For example, when people are put into the system, either as a subscriber or a client or a bidder, they are assigned to a list, and we have what's called an alias for those lists: subscribers, bidders, active bidders, and clients. And rather than having to populate a cart, if you will, when you send the bulk mailer with Gen 2, you will select which list you want to send to. You want to send to subscribers, you want to send to clients, bidders, active bidders, and so forth. You can do a multi-select.
So those are always in there.
Those are always in there.
Okay, cool.
That is in our system configuration. So you don't have to remember what they are. Just look at the first at the left-hand side, and it will tell you. Now, this will change. This will eventually say something like subscribers at reneebates.com. This is for just this funny name here, just for testing. Okay,
Okay.
once you have decided who, and let me mention one other thing. For testing purposes, the first three, subscribers, bidders, and active bidders, I have those lists populated with our development team's email addresses. The client list, I have populated with Cheryl, Michelle, Mary Beth, Brittany, and Jennifer, so that anytime the email is sent to clients, then those 5 recipients will get the results. Now, what are you going to show in the announcement email? Now, there's 3 choices that you have at the top of the page for bulk selections. For example, I can get all that are just listed. I can get all that are presently open, or I can get all that are presently ending.
And we can do all 3 of those at once, correct?
You can do all 3 of those at one time. Ending is probably not a good choice because that means it's going to be gone in 12 hours. So,
Right.
I mean, that's certainly up to you.
Well, yeah, true.
If you choose to do so, I know you do this from time to time, Michelle. You have featured auctions.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose which ones you want. Okay. I'm going to do that for sake of brevity here. Now, that's all you have to do, because we're going to populate automatically the subject. We put it on the screen here in case you want to override what's put in the subject. I think the default on that, I think, is Renee Bates Upcoming Auctions, Volume 1, 2, 3. If you want to say something like featured auctions or something of that nature, you populate this box. Delivery time,
So I only populate that when I wanted to override, or is there gonna be that upcoming auctions in there all the time to where we see something in that line?
if that line is blank, the system will fill it in the email.
Okay,
It will not appear here.
Would
Okay,
you-
blank, but system is populating. Correct?
if you would like to put if you would like to put that in there, we can. If you'd like to, the only thing is we don't, at this point,
Oh,
we
I'm
don't know what
making-
the,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I think Jeff started, if you would like to see what we're going to default in there, we can put that as, what do you call it? A prompt.
Yeah, I just need to know one way or the other,
Okay.
like, I'm just making notes to where I know like what the deal is.
All right. If you want, go ahead, Jeff.
We can put, so we don't know, like, Dave said, there's a volume number, edition number of the email. On the front end, I won't know that. I can put a placeholder text until you fill in that field of something that says, system generated, just so that you know that it's system generated here versus the other screens, the mailer, it isn't system generated.
That's, I mean, I've got my little notes going. Either way is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
This delivery time allows you to delay the delivery
Uh-huh.
of if you wanted to send it, for example, if you wanted to set this up in the middle of the day but not delivered until the evening hours, then you can go in here and put put whatever time you want to send it. And the system will delay it. If this is not populated, then it's going to send it. It's going to send it immediately as soon as you post it. Okay, one last thing. This email body is primarily populated by the system and puts in basically the auction calendar. But we allow you to put in additional text at the top of the body. Something like we thought you would be interested in these. And of course, you have all the HTML capability here. You can make it a header. You can color it if you want to. Style it a little bit. Okay. Now, when you hit the send, we should get emails to all of your addresses. And with 3 options in them. So anybody that can look at your inbox, let me know if you see something.
I saw it come in, but
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Now, I jumped over it because I mean you can use it if you want to. If you want the Renee Bates header, the graphic, you can choose to do that. we don't default these. You have to, if, or we're not present. If you want us to, we can. You can put the header, the footer, and the border. Now, it automatically should have inserted at the bottom of the email a unsubscribe link.
Yes.
Okay, now that goes directly to just to make sure that we don't have complaints. That goes directly to Mailgun, and then we send a report back to you when that happens. Well, it's a daily report. You'll be able to see on a daily basis who unsubscribed from your mailing list.
Okay, how do we see what the header and footer, like currently, I'm not using the header and footer because they're just so big and I think even out of date. I've just been doing the border. But I think, thank you. I see what you're doing there. I think if we maybe just clean up the footer and like make sure that we have our auction licenses in there. And then as it stands right now, it says this email was sent by Renee's Auction Inc. There's 2 periods after Inc., just FYI. And then it looks like there's a line under every logo. I don't know if that
Yeah,
would like
that's
order.
That is a formatting problem that we're
Okay.
addressing. The line will either disappear under the logo, or we put the line in there to separate the text primarily between the auctions. And we take the line out if you want, but I thought, in my opinion, it was more presentable with a line between the auctions.
Between the
fact
auctions,
that it-
yeah.
The fact that it floats up and down with the logos,
I see,
that's the
okay.
shortage.
All right, now this big Get Daddy that you just sent that's got our header and our footer, those are huge. Those are huge. Is there any way we could change the size of those or like make a new footer?
Where there's a will, there's a way. Of course we can.
Okay, because all that down at the bottom is perfect. It's got licenses and all of our contact information, but all that stuff above it is ginormica.
That is responsive. In other words, if you shrink the screen, the images get smaller. If you look at it on a mobile phone, they're down. They
okay.
should be downsized. But yes, we can make them on the desktop email appear however you want.
Okay, what's
So-
the and bullet? Renee, I'm sure that's just down there in the address. Renee Bates Auctioneers Inc. and Bullet, 1650 West Virginia and Bullet.
That is where.
Oh, there's bullets. That's where we put those.
That's where some
those-
HTML has not been properly.
Yeah, got it. Okay, it's in the licenses. It just didn't. Okay, all right. I think, yeah, if we can get that into a smaller format. But let me, I'm gonna send this.
Okay.
This is easy peasy.
All right. There's one other thing in general I want to mention about mailing, and that is we need to, I think we always should have, but we haven't. But when we convert to Gen 2, we need to separate transactional emails from bulk emails.
I agree.
Because, and here's the reason. You always have to, legally, you're required to provide an unsubscribe option to recipients of bulk mail. And you have to honor that unsubscribe request. And the way our mailing vendor works, the unsubscribe function kind of comes along with a domain being reneebates.com. So we need to have a separate domain that the email is being sent through. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that the end user is going to see that separate domain, because we can put any from address, I think, that we want to on there. We'll still show it from whatever you have now, auctions@reneebates.com or whatever. But we need to set up a separation at Mailgun that says, okay, all the stuff going through this domain, and that domain could be something like mailer.reneebates.com. I think we need to confirm that with Mailgun, but I think we can have a separate domain that's called mailer.reneebates.com that we will use for bulk mailing purposes, that is unsubscribable. Then just continue with your official domain of reneebates.com for transactional emails, because we definitely don't want somebody to unsubscribe from an email we sent them about an invoice.
Right.
So we'll be progressing with that. If you have any comments about that, let me know. Any more questions about the mailer?
No, it looks simple, Simon. So like right now I break it up and I send two different ones because it seems like Mailgun is not a fan of too large of emails being sent out at once. So I send active bidders. That's the first one I send out, and I'll schedule it to be sent out at the end of usually after like an hour or two after our last auction closes that day. And then I schedule subscribers, clients, and what do we call it right now?
Can I chime in here?
Yeah.
Okay. We're using a whole different technology now than what you're using now.
Okay.
And I think it was probably for me that I suggested that you not send mail while auctions were open, because
Yes.
it took a lot of system resources to send out the bulk mail, because each and every mail piece, every email address was handled individually on the system while the bulk mail was being distributed. On Gen 2 mailing list, the only thing we send to Mailgun is that address you see at the top of your screen. So we've totally offloaded all of the bulk mailing process from your server to their server.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about system load.
That's great.
Again, when you send to clients, you send one copy of the email to that quote alias address, and then that alias address has got all of the clients linked to it through Mailgun. So you don't have to worry about that. No system, you're not taking any system resources to do this, and it's just a matter of what really you think about it in terms of when does it have the most marketing impact. So if it makes sense to send them in the middle of the day, then you do that.
Yeah, I've got a kind of a flow now, and then like I know personally my phone habits, like I'll check my Gmail a handful of times during the day, and but then at night is when I usually like manage that because it's my personal. So I don't like to send them out any later than 8 o'clock if possible, because I just picture what other people are probably doing and with their TV on and their iPad on and their phone in their hand. Like,
Mhm.
and our bidders are, I think, they're accustomed to that flow at this point. So, but I hear what you're saying. And then the featured I just send, that would be different because it could be like this is coming up. I usually wouldn't do it the day before, but, uh, yeah.
Okay. All right. That covers what I wanted to go over today. I do want to mention, and I'll sort of,
So here, I have a question before we get off this topic. So this is just the default order that I put things on the screen. But looking at it, I don't really like how all the boxes are mixed together. And because of the order of how it shows up in the email, would it be all right if all the auction checkboxes, the three selections up top, and then the two columns goes below the email body, just because that's sort of how the flow of the email works. You have your subject, the email body, and you're going to have your auction listings below that.
That's fine. I mean, that's completely fine. Yeah, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm also looking at this on my phone. And while the bottom is still really, really, really big, it looks, the borders are off a little bit at the top, but, yeah, I think if we can just get that footer shrink down a little bit, because then our information underneath it looks like it's in micro font. Then I just think it'll be more proportional visually, but I think it looks good.
Okay. I will. Yeah, we'll work on the images. Do you have? So you, I don't have one. Do I have one of those emails handy? Do you have a suggestion? Do you have a suggestion for how the header would change so that you're more apt to being interested in using that?
I mean, I think the headers, I think that they're both fine. They're just they're just huge.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's
We can
I know
do.
that right now, I think we've got that saved as a specific image / file document thing that y'all put in there. So I don't know if that's something that,
Yeah, we can look at. Yeah, we can look at changing it. We can look at putting a max width option on there so that it doesn't, even if you're looking at it at a bigger size, it doesn't
I mean, you see
it
the
doesn't display
contrast,
all of
right?
that.
Like it's like 10 times larger than the auctions. And then the smaller, like on the phone, it looks up like better. Almost.
Yeah,
But it's
because
still,
it-
their
it-
proportions are just off. It would just be nice if like they were all proportionally kind of the same.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're using the same graphics that we use on the web page. So we can resize the graphics and use different graphics for the email, but I need some kind of, I guess, like for example, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, here at the bottom, if we took all of this and made it more proportional, I guess, more proportional to the size of the footer information
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
So then probably that's going to shrink down to about half of what it shows there.
Gotcha.
Can you do a inspection on that in your email? Can you do a right click and change things?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can do it because my client's in a browser, so I can edit it. That I can look at it that way. But yeah,
And if
there's
anything needs to be removed from the footer, if we could just stick with, I can't scroll down, but that entire bottom row of all those other organizations that are not Renee Bates Auctioneers that we're just affiliated with, like, we could take those out completely if we need to nix something out of
Can-
there.
I'm sorry, I got
Can you scroll
distracted.
down? Yeah, there.
Yeah,
Would,
Yep.
so.
would you repeat that, Michelle?
So Renee Bates Auctioneers since 1966, then all of those other organizations, like since this is, I like having it on the website, but as these are just emails that we're sending out, I don't know that we need, like, if we need to have room to make this more proportional, that entire line of other organizations, I think, could be removed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this. Since we have the full logo at the top,
Do we need it
really
at the
need the
bottom?
logo in the footer? So would it?
No, we
what
don't actually. We could just start, like, we could take all of that out, but I do want the entire, like, Renee Bates Auctioneers Inc., 1650 West Virginia, like, all that 100% needs to be
Okay.
in the footer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm fine
so
taking the footer out as far as all that jazz.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
redundant
a
all
lot,
over
and
again.
you're right, it's 100% redundant. All right, let's just do that. But if we could make that font that you have highlighted, or yeah, if we could make that a little larger,
Sure.
or at least
By the way,
same-
did you say it showed ampersand bullet on something you were looking at? Because that's what it's supposed to look like.
It did.
It did. It did.
The first one you sent
yeah.
did.
Okay.
The bullet points were in all the licensing, but at the top where those bullet points are between our name and our address, that said the ampersand bullet.
At the top.
The first line where it has the address.
That you
Here?
have highlighted.
Oops.
That works.
Went to the wrong site though. So you're saying on this line here.
Correct.
Yes.
Interesting. Could you forward that to me, please?
Shall?
And what are you using to read the email? Are you using a web browser or?
Right now, I just,
For me, it's Outlook.
yeah, mine is,
Outlook? Okay. Outlook client then. Okay.
all right, I'm gonna just, Jeff and you and, all right, I just sent it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we're going to remove the logo from the footer.
And then just basically have our information the same size font as like the auction, like the one above it where it says under construction, selling 37 lots, including, like, if it was that same font size, I think that'd be great.
Okay. That's
You think so? I actually like it a little bit smaller, but that's just my, like it is now, but that's just my opinion.
Maybe do like not as small, but not as big, but just like one size. It looks like it may be like two or three font sizes smaller. Maybe just like one font size smaller.
We can Goldilocks it. That's fine with me.
okay. I would like to have a meeting next week, not the show and tell variety, but rather of more of a what you want us to do in several situations. And the first one we'll want to talk about is the progression of emails that we send during the bidding process. Now, again, I don't want to open that topic up here because it deserves, I think, a fair amount of time for discussion. But that's the type of thing I want to do at our next meeting. Is anybody have any schedule conflicts for meeting next
it looks like
Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday looks like the best day. From what I'm looking at.
Okay. Okay, and I'll try to get you an email out tomorrow of the things that we want to discuss. But there's like a lot of, we're putting finishing touches on a lot of things now, and some of the things, it's helpful if we have your input before we do them.
Yes.
And so that's the kind of thing we may pull up a screen every now and then just for illustration purposes, but we won't be doing a feature dump on you at that meeting.
Okay.
Perfect.
So is everybody at this point sounding good for Tuesday at 10 next week?
Yes, and I will set my alarm. Y'all, I'm so sorry. I literally was just upside down in an auction and had my head up.
Well, I hope everything worked out okay.
Everything
Yeah.
turned out fine.
I was only a couple of minutes late and I felt bad. Yeah.
I've never been late to it. I feel sick to my stomach. I hate
Michelle?
being late.
Michelle, if I was really worried because not only were you late, but everybody was late by about 2 minutes.
Well, but I was late by 30 anyway. I feel like I'm gonna vomit, so it's okay. It'll go away in the next 3 hours.
We're good. And
Ugh.
I'll sneak that change on the email in on you. So if you want to do a little testing with that anytime, I'll let you know when the update's been done.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would.
right.
I would like to do that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Talk to you next week.
Anything else? Anybody else? Jeff?
Nope. Just
Schultz? Still with us, Schultz?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Go
you.
off and I would encourage you to practice some bidding and watch the results of the instant update or the real-time updates on the screen and watch. In order to really make it effective, you have to kind of have two different logins going on at the same time and maybe a split screen, and watch what happens on the other screen when you make a bid or when you delete the bids from admin, all those sort of things. So kind of observe that and let us know and have any feedback you get from that, okay?
Okay.
All righty. Well, I will send you an email later this afternoon with a link to the recording. And with that said, thank you again, and we'll see you Tuesday at 10.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.